We are going to unlock the magic of Book Creator today. I know that we have some in the room that have used Book Creator quite a bit, and then we've got some brand new people. So we're excited to have you all here, and can't wait to show you some of our newer features. Even if you've been in and haven't been in the last little while, we've made lots of changes, especially over this past year, and it just keeps getting better and better. So let me start off and introduce myself. I'm Janet Burnett. I am from Alabama, as you can hear in my voice, and I'm a teacher success manager here at Book Creator, which means that I'm here to come right along beside you and help you have the very best experience that you can possibly have. And what's going to happen is after our session today, when you start digging just a little bit deeper, you get back at your desk and get a little bit of time. If you get stuck or have questions or just need to brainstorm with, that's what I'm here for, is just to come along beside you and help you. And I'm an educator myself. I have been in the classroom for about 26 years. I just retired from the state of Alabama last year before officially joining the Book Creator team, but I have used Book Creator in my own classroom and with teachers in my district as a former tech specialist for about 10 years. So I talked about it like it was one of my kids. And so when this opportunity opened up, I just took advantage of that and decided to step away from the classroom for a little while, even though I'll go back and visit quite often. So I've also brought a good friend of mine along with me today. She's known as Farmer Fobs to a lot of people, Alyssa. She shares the name with my daughter, so that's what I tend to lean to. But I'll let her introduce herself right now.
Well, thanks, Janet, for letting me tag along. I always say my government name is Alyssa Fabian, but everybody in the ed tech world knows me as Farmer Fobs, and I am the district growth manager with Book Creator, and I was a teacher for 10 years. I taught mainly digital media. I taught 2 years in middle school at the very beginning, and my last year and a half was being a tech coach. And then I just joined Book Creator January 2nd. So I'm just now starting out and I'm helping anything with piloting, conferences, all that stuff. And if you are on socials, I love to connect. I'm dropping my Twitter down there, but it's at Farmer Fobs. I just do videos with my ed tech videos and with my animals. So yes, I actually do live on a farm. So that's an interesting fact about me. So thanks for letting me tag along, y'all.
I'm thrilled for her to be here because we love getting together and talking about Book Creator and sharing ideas. And so we'll kind of be tag teaming as we go along. And I made her promise to break in at any point in time as we go along, and we'll just kind of go back and forth. But during our time today, what we want to do is we want to kind of unpack Book Creator. Start off for those new ones in the room of why Book Creator, what is it, how does it work? We're going to kind of explore those Book Creator features during our time today and kind of unpack it in the context of content. We're both educators. That's the way we think. And I think that it can kind of get your teacher wheels turning about how Book Creator can actually fit in with your tomorrow. And then we'll mix in some tips and tricks that we've kind of learned along the way just by using it with other teachers, and then leave you with some resources so that you can dig just a little bit deeper. So we're going to start with what is Book Creator. If you ask 100 different people, you would probably get 100 different answers, to be honest. But to me, it's just a super simple tool that teachers and students, it doesn't matter what content area you're in, what age group you're working with, they can use it to power up lessons that you already have planned. So literally whatever you have planned tomorrow, we're going to show you some things today that you would be able to easily integrate Book Creator into that, whether it's through video or voice or images, text, whatever it is. And, you know, sometimes it starts with a blank page, and then sometimes you don't really have time to build into your schedule time for your students to write books or have multiple pages. So there might be a time when you actually just need an exit ticket for a whole group discussion you just had. Maybe you have a newcomer in your classroom where you need that translation feature. Or maybe you have some younger students who aren't developmentally ready to type just yet, but they sure can talk. So we're going to talk today in our time together about how you can use all of these different features. And this is the simple part of Book Creator is this one button. It's just right here up in this top right-hand corner. Just like math, if you want to add something to the page, you're going to go to that plus sign. And then this is what I call our classic Book Creator tools. And that's going to be using images and camera, not only a still shot, but taking those selfies, taking a picture of a science kit, whatever you have, maybe as a writing prompt. You can pop a video right on the page. Whereas if you've used Flip in the past, with that, it was great. People loved it everywhere, but you still had to create a prompt. You had to give them a code. You had to get them to join in a different avenue. But this, just pop it right here on the page. They talk and they move on. And then you're left with powerful student feedback from everybody in the room, the shy ones, the ones that are always going to have their hand up, the ones that are gifted, and then the ones that are struggling. So that's our job as an educator, is to hear every voice, and Book Creator is perfect for that. And then we have our tool, our pen tool, where they can draw the favorite part of their story that you read with them, or annotate on top of an article if you're talking about nonfiction text. And then, of course, when you think of Book Creator, you do think of text automatically, but within this text box, there's some magic going on here. And so we're going to take a deeper dive at that. And then I love the ability just to add your voice. So not the distraction of a camera all the time, even though our students today, that is their comfortable level. Look at TikTok, look at Instagram. That camera is their avenue of communication.
I was about to say, every kid wants to be a content creator in today's time. And so y'all, and for me, this recording that camera button at the first time that kids use it, they're like, no, I don't want to be on camera. And you're going to find that they love to record it and they love to be on camera. So just kind of keep that in mind. That first time might be a little shy, but then they'll come out of it.
Absolutely. And even if they are shy in that, podcasting is a new trending way of communication. And for old school teachers like me, that's also known as fluency practice. So I'll throw in some ideas about how you might use that with your students as well. But we're going to talk about, yes, these classic Book Creator tools, but then a couple of other sections that we have here in this same button. I like to call these maybe the teacher tools. We have over 800 templates, and we're going to take a closer look at those as we go. This embed button to me is one of the most powerful things that a teacher has, because if you have an article or a video with content in it that you always show with your students in your class time, now you can copy and paste that right here on the page. So whereas before, if a student was absent, they missed the video. But now they're able to go back. Your Title I students, if you have any struggling students, can go back, listen to it again, pause it while they're taking notes. There's just so many powerful ways that you can use this. And that third part of this one little button here is our partners that we come in along beside. Some of them are going to look very familiar to you, and these can be great for student engagement. So that's a little bit about what Book Creator is. But really, the teacher part of you, you're going to love Book Creator because it's going to allow you to power up the task, like I said, that you have planned for tomorrow or next week or whatever unit you might be covering with your students. Or maybe partnering with a classroom teacher and their class working on something that can be engaging for the students. You can quickly up the rigor on it. And again, hear the voice of every student in the room. So I always like to start here. What does Book Creator look like in the classroom? Because that's really, none of us have time for something extra. This is going to be best fit if it can help us check off something that's already on our to-do list. As educators, it keeps getting longer and longer and longer, but rarely does anybody take anything off of that to-do list. So that's what I want you to think about today, is think about what you need to do with your students, or what you're doing tomorrow in class, or what's coming up just maybe next week in the next unit you're going to cover, or what skill or standard. Because Book Creator can look a lot of different ways in the classroom. 10 years ago, when I first started using it, it was mainly this right here, just a student creation piece. And that's what people normally think of when they think of Book Creator, is a blank page where you're going to add text and images, and that will be the way that students can show what they know. And it is perfect for that. It can be used, and we're going to take a look at an example of that and how you can power that feature up, because that is a necessity in the classroom at times. But over time, that blank page kind of turned into a reading response journal or a science portfolio or a collection of work. So if you start it at the beginning of the semester or at the beginning of the school year, and students just begin to make deposits into that, just making little deposits along the way throughout the year, just evidence of learning, then it can become a beautiful picture, a timeline of their learning and what they've done. And then when you get to the spring and you start talking about test prep and review, how much more powerful is it when your students can flip back through the pages of a portfolio that they've put together and hear their own words and see their own notes and them remembering what they learned back in October. So to me, that is a super powerful way to use it. But sometimes a blank page can be intimidating for both the teacher and the student, depending on how much time you have, what skill you're assessing, whatever it is that you need to get accomplished. It's sometimes better to offer them a little bit of structure, a little scaffold, if you will, along the way. And that is where, right here in this media section, in the templates, if you haven't been in Book Creator ever, or if you haven't been in a while, oh my goodness. Bobs, do you agree that this is one of my favorite places?
I know, and I stole this idea from you that sometimes we think of Book Creator as like this big book that teachers have to give their students. But what about just a page or two using these templates? And for me, this is how I got started. I started looking through the templates, and then I got more comfortable kind of changing them and tweaking them. And it kind of gave me that roadmap to get started. Because as a teacher, as librarians, as tech coaches, that blank page is a little tough sometimes. And I know you're going to hit on it, but that discovery is also a great spot to really also see how other teachers have used templates in their book. So this is a big one. And you're right there on that. Probably my favorite page is that reflection. I love using the reflection because I give students choice and they can reflect using text, video, or voice. So I love this reflection page. I often put it at the end of their book. If let's say they're doing a country's project and they're rolling, but then I add this reflection page at the end, and they're able to add video or a voice or text, just reflect on their learning. So love this piece.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things to where you can really customize it for whatever you're teaching.
Yeah.
So if you're teaching weather, you can come on here and just add a little something to this really basic page so that it adapts to whatever content area you're teaching. And like she mentioned, if you go into that thinking voice and choice for your student, the ability to add an image, they can tell what they learned through an image if they come along and pair it with that record button right beside it. Or maybe drawing a picture. It maybe art, they're very artistic. Or maybe they are not great at typing, but you still want them to work on writing out. We have some magical things like I showed you earlier.
Say, this was a big win at my school district because a lot of people were like, well, what about those students that struggle with the texting, or I don't know, Miss, I don't know how to spell a cow. And I'm like, I ain't spelling cow for you. And so that speech to text was a game changer for us. And it really gave every student this voice where, with accessibility, and all of our students were able to type, right? Or our littles, they didn't know how to spell things. So that speech to text, they know how to talk, and that's for sure. So they love that.
Yeah, and it's super easy to use. All they're going to do is just click on that little microphone. And good news, it does speak Southern. So that's
hey,
fun sometimes. But all they're going to do is just click here. Today, I learned that a tornado can cause lots of damage. And then just that quick, they can pop it in right here on the page and they're good to go. Now, something else that can happen in that same text box is if you have newcomers in your classroom and maybe they're still learning English. Yep. And so they're more proficient in their native language, and we're going to get a clearer picture of their academic standing from them communicating in their own native language and not basing it on their English proficiency. That's something that we have to be really careful with as educators. So something else that we have is if they click on this little arrow here, they're going to be able to go in and choose their native language. And then that way it knows what to listen for. And it's going to be a really powerful, accessibility tool that they have. Now, something else that you can do is right here. I love this because some of you may have dual languages going on in your classroom where you have students that are speaking different languages, and you may have multiple languages, but something that's, I think, a game changer, not only for the teacher, but the students, is the fact that I can just copy and paste this and then go back into this text box. And now I'm able to hit translate. And if I need Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, over 100 different languages, I can choose that, click one button. And now what it did is it just made it accessible for all students in the classroom. And so to me, wow, that's something that I always had to wait on support for them. But now you can get them right in the game and running with everybody else. And to go a step further than that, definitely the students can use this record button to tell and show what they know, but teachers can use this to scaffold for their students as well. So in this case, I'm going to use this and just with a quick 3, 2, 1, tell me 3 things you learned in your lesson today. I can give them a little prompt. It will pop it right here. I can even go back in and I can maybe shuffle things around to make it fit just a little bit better. And I am even able to change the color. So you'll notice anytime you want to make something a little better, make an improvement to it. Now we call it the inspector button, but I like to call it the improvement button.
I like
that. In this case, I am going to improve the audio because number one, I want it to blend in just a little bit more. All right. And so I can go in there and kind of change a little bit, but if I want to improve it even more and do a little magic, then as long as that audio is highlighted and I click on that I button, you can actually translate the audio now. So what it's going to do is it's going to ask you to create a little transcript. All I've got to do is click the button. And I appreciate this because as a Southerner, sometimes it doesn't hear me correctly when I use some of the others. But Book Creator does a great job. But I can just double check because I don't want to assume that it's hearing what I said. And so here, tell me 3 things you learned in your lesson today. Yep, it heard me correctly. I'm going to click that. And then I can come back in here again with all of these different languages. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I can be today.
Esta es una muestra de grabación con esta voz.
So I'm going to hit translate. And it's going to allow me just to put that right there. And then I like to go back in and change it just a little bit so that the students are able to see and maybe find a particular color is always the teacher, or this is a language that's going to be better for me, or however you choose to use that in your classroom. That accessibility, again, is quick. It's a button click away, and they're ready on their way.
And Janet, I'm going to add, this is a great way to connect with your students that are in your classroom that speak multiple languages. But I also think this Book Creator is a great way to connect with parents. And so really envision ways that you might not be able to communicate with some parents. This is a great way to do so. And you can actually build a whole book in English, and she'll show you probably at the end how to translate the whole book into any of these languages as well. And so, you really talk about that parent communication kind of up in the notch. You connect with every single parent that's in your district. So I just wanted to add that.
That's right. All right. So that's a little bit of the magic, but there's more. the ultimate goal, again, is the ability for students to use any of these basic classic tools that Book Creator offers to make their learning visible, and again, give that shy student an option to show what they know. We've got to get it out of them somehow, and Book Creator, they love Book Creator, so it's the perfect way to do that. So what I want to do before we go any further is give you guys the ability to join in with us and be interactive with us today. So what I want us to do is I want to go over this because I know we have some newcomers in the room with us. And if you have never signed into Book Creator, I just always like to put this in, and especially with media specialists, you're a go-to in your building. I know that. So if teachers have a question, or they think, I'm not getting the page templates, or I'm not getting the translation, or whatever it is, it's a possibility that they are signed in as a student. So teachers get really excited and they want to just jump right in. But I like to always point out that you want to make sure that you are clicking switch to teacher right here at the bottom. And then we do have the single sign-on with Google or Clever. I know you use that in your district. So I just like to give a little heads up. Make sure that you're seeing that blue background and that you are signing in as a teacher. So if you want to open up a tab and do that right now, maybe some of you are already signed in. We're going to let you join the library that we're using today, because we have loaded it with a few resources that just to kind of, again, spark your mind and keep the ideas flowing. But what's going to happen when you first go into Book Creator is it's going to ask you to create a library. And this is something that I feel the more you use it, the more you realize how valuable this is. Because if you have the premium version of this, you're going to get unlimited libraries. And that is going to be one of the things that comes in really handy. It's totally up to you how you set them up, whether it's through homeroom, whether it's a school year, whether it's by subject, teacher templates to keep those preserved for you, however you decide to do it. And also, we're going to, by allowing you to jump into this library, you'll see anywhere you see this little link here on my pages, that is going to be a hook to a tutorial video. So if after our time today you have questions about libraries or how to create one or get your kids into it, this is a place where you could go back and click that, and you're going to find a video that our team's made, and it will show you just that specific skill that you need. And I also like to tell you this part as well. As we begin to unleash the magic here, every library is going to have its own library settings. And there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to go in here and control. But something, if you're taking notes, put hearts and stars by this, because I just recommend that you turn off read each other's books. Just switch that one off for now. There may be a time that you want to switch it back on, but we're going to show you one of our newest features, that assign book feature, in just a second. And what that does is, with a click of a button, however many students you have in your classroom, once you click that button of assign, it is going to create a copy for every student in your library. So by switching this off, it just cuts down a little bit of chaos and confusion. And they will only be able to see the teacher's copy. They won't be able to edit that one, and their copy, which they will be able to edit. So that's just my little tip that I like to give at this point. And also translating text, like we showed earlier in the audio, that's another feature that is not enabled for students, but you can turn it on if you need to. So, you've got a lot of control within these libraries, and I don't want to spend too much time there, but I do just want to let you know that. When you go in and you create a new library, this is kind of new that our teams put this in there to support teachers. And it's just to remind you that it can be more than a blank page. So we've put a couple of reminders in here. I know Fobs mentioned earlier our Discover Library, and they've put a link in here for you to do that using some of our templates, which we're going to take a look at in just a minute. That is going to be there for you. But once you have a book in your library, you won't see that anymore. And now let's take a second and get you connected. So hopefully by now you've had an opportunity to jump over to another tab. And what we're going to do is I'm going to switch over here and I'm going to give you a different view. And this is a library that I've created for you guys today. And again, there's more resources. We're going to unpack as many as we can during our time. But I wanted to show you just how easy it is to get your students to join your library. It's very simple. So all I'm going to do is just click right here where it says invite code. And if you guys want to jot this down, if you want to take a picture of it, however you want to do it, what you're going to, I'm going to come back to this in just a second, but what you're going to do is once you're in Book Creator, if you're looking at something like this and you're inside your own library, all you have to do is click on these 3 lines here, and it will take you back to your teacher dashboard. And then you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And when you scroll to the bottom, you're going to be looking for something that looks like this at the bottom, and it will have a yellow button and say join a library. And that's where you're going to put the code that I'm going to pop back up here. And that will allow you, you can still be a teacher in that role, but you can also join my library. So it plays nice. Not all technology does play nice, but Book Creator does. So you can be in a library, but still in a teacher role. So I'm going to give you just a second to try it that way. But if you'll notice, there's also a copy invite link.
I know. I just did it. I beat you to it.
Oh, yay. Okay, good job, Hobbs. I'm not used to having you here, and I love that. What are you doing next week? No, just kidding. But with that link, you should be able just to hop over to the chat and just click there. And that will take you straight into our library. You won't have to actually do the code. So another tip is if you're working with little people, well, I guess you could use it with even your older students. I will take that invite link and make it a QR code. And then that way, if I'm working with littles, all I have to do is walk by their device, and as fast as I walk by, it puts them in my classroom. So if you're working with a big class in a short amount of time, that's a little time saver for you.
I like that. And
so,
real quick, yeah. Sarah said you guys can access Book Creator through Clever. So that's great. And right now there's a little over than 12 people in the library. So we can see if you joined our library or not. Got our eyes on y'all.
That's exactly right. This right here is, again, if you've been in Book Creator a good while, this is a relatively new placement that they've opened up. And so if I click on these little people here at the top, I'm going to be able to see that all of you have joined in. I appreciate you doing that because it's going to make it so much more meaningful in just a second. When I hit that assign book button, you're going to be able to see the magic play out right in front of your eyes. But right here at the top, you guys don't have any books just yet. But what will happen is before our session is over today, you will begin to see books populating out here. And they're little thumbnails. So you're able, if I want to go in and I want to see Amy's book on biomes, I'm going to be able to click on that and go straight to hers. So that's a good management tool for you. And yeah, I love this. And let's just say that Cindy and I are in, we're across the hallway from each other. And we want to work on a project together with our students, with our classrooms. I would be able to go in right here, have Cindy join my library. Then I would be able to go in and promote her to a co-teacher, meaning that she would still be able to see all of the students' work, even though I had that button turned off, and be able to make assignments as well. So just to kind of give you some options, it can, that is a really valuable feature. It's little, and it's one of those things that's just a quick look at what you've got going. And again, I've put the little link here if you need some more information on that. So now that we have you, we've signed in, we've created our library, we've got our students in. Now, I want you to go back and think about what we were talking about earlier. Like, how do you need to use this in your classroom? Do you need a blank page? Do you want to give your students the ability to create their own book, their own journal that you're going to add to as you go along the way? Or would it be better for you to start with a book that you create as the teacher and maybe create all of your students a page in that book? So you've got some options there. Or what if you don't need a book? What if you just need the 3, 2, 1 reflection? and you want to shoot that out to your students at the end of your discussion today, and it's just one page. You can do any of those things. So what I want us to do at this point is just realize that when you go in and you click new book, you're going to have a choice of different sizes and shapes. You're going to see something that says standard books and comic books. Now, for a long time, I ignored this comics book section, Fobs, but then I realized that there's just some things in that comic book era that the standard books don't have. So one of those is when you click on text, it's just got some different text styles kind of added in here. Another thing is it has these different page template layouts right here, these panels right here on the side that are easy access. And those can come in really handy if you're even doing an exit ticket like a collage or something like that. So going back to this thought, what I want to do is I want to show you, because I do know that we have some new people, just how easy it is to create something. So this is an example of what people think of when they're thinking of classic book creator. And that is, here's a sample. His name is Winston, 7 years old. And Winston did a good job. Obviously, his teacher was talking about text features because he's got his book dedication page. He's got his table of contents. He has his labels. He's put his images in. I love Winston because he used the drawing tool to create his key for his map that was on his desk. And he is a deep thinker. What's going on here? Maybe he's got a rubric in front of him. I don't know. But as I flip through here, even he added the camera with a selfie for the author's page. So Winston did a really, really good job with this, just kind of presenting his information. But Winston also powered this up by adding his voice with that recording feature. And when I hit this play button and I heard this, it told me a lot about Winston. And if you've been in education a little while, you're going to know immediately you're Winston. So listen to this.
Diet. Growl. That's the sound of a bear. If you want to learn more about bears, keep reading to find out. First, bears eat fish.
All right. So do you know what I mean now? Winston's probably, now I'm guessing, I don't know Winston personally, but I'm guessing that Winston is a little character. I can hear it in his voice. I can see it in the detail. He's probably the student that finishes early in class. And I love Winston. Now, the pictures and the text would have been a good presentation. But the fact that he took all of those tools and combined them together to kind of step up his game a little bit made me appreciate Winston just a little bit more. And so let me show you how easy it was for Winston to create a book. So all he did was go to new book. If you're brand new and you want to do this with me, you are so welcome to do that. He probably chose this one down here at the bottom. I like a good full page, and that landscape, just FYI, if you're using those page templates, that's a good choice because it's formatted for that. Then Winston went over to this I button because he wanted to improve his page, right? And nothing would do. Now, we have a lot of choices down here. We've got some really calm ones down here in texture, but Winston needed loud comic book page. So he went right here at the top. And then Winston went in and added one of our images. Now, if you'll notice right here, you'll see that our speech to text is also, or text to speech is also here. And so he may have done this, grizzly bear. All right, so now you're going to see these beautiful Pixabay images that start here at the top. They're all copyright free. They're going to be able to be cited right on the page if that's something that you're working on with your students. And then he's going to have some choices. So he can come down here. Now, if he doesn't find what he's looking for, he can easily keep scrolling at the bottom and it will take him out to a Google search if that's what he needs. But all you have to do is click on the pick and click add. And then it's just going to pop it right here on the page just that quick. Now, there's something else that I love. Bobs, I don't know if you love this as much as I do, but
Is this my favorite feature?
I know, I love this one. So if you click on the image and you want to improve it, I'm going to go over to the I button. And then we have a new feature here called remove background. Now that doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like a really big deal until you see it, because to me, when I hit this button, it does its magic. And if you've ever had to go out and do it on another website and then import it in, it just adds a little bit of an extra dimension, a little more creativity, and a more put together look, even for your youngest learners. And so I love that.
And then I got a question today, and I'm just going to nail it right here. When she clicks on that bear, she actually sees that eye, that inspector button. And a lot of people have asked this, is how do you lock something? So when you click lock, it's in that eye. And so there's two ways to lock it. You can prevent locking, and it will actually prevent it from that book or any book that you assign a copy. But also you could just lock this. So that's always a really good feature that a lot of people skip over. It's just like, yes, you can lock the background, the images, the text, all of that stuff right there in the eye.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Winston went in, grab a quick text, grizzly bear. And just that quick, he's able to put that together. And then all he has to do is just click on that page and keep adding to, keep being creative, and quickly he'll be able to show what he knows. So certainly it can be a blank page, but I want to challenge you, and I've put in some different examples here because I know we probably have some those that work with young learners and those that work with older students. So by being in my library, you're going to be able to click on these. These are all hyperlinked in, and see some different examples of how teachers have used them. Now, you may, in the media specialist world, Shannon Miller is a jewel. She is a precious person.
She's what we call the GOAT.
I know. I love her. She has recently joined the book creator team with us, and she's working with her students. Here, it was a group of second graders. So she took that blended learning where they were still collecting their facts on paper, and she felt like her students probably needed a little more structure than a blank page. So that's where she decided to go ahead and create the book first. And she used some of our panels here, went in and maybe just gave them a little bit of guidance as to what to put in, the information to put in each one. And then they would just customize it according to whatever animal they were doing the research. So it just kind of set it along. She made sure that every student was going to give that she was looking for, but they could customize it for their learning. So that is an option as well. And then Bob's mentioned just a second ago that we have a Discover Library, and I'm going to show you that at the end a little bit more, but here is an example of how that works. So in this particular one, this one is made and free for the taking. All you have to do is go and grab a copy of it by hitting that remix button, and then you're just going to be able to drop it right into your library and make your own copy of that. Now, this one was not created by our team. This was actually created by another teacher. She was doing insect research with her students, and she created a template. And what I mean by that is this is actually, she went in and designed the book, but left it very generic so that all the students have to do is go in and customize the boxes, which kind of does speed it along a little bit more, and kind of gives them a space for each item. But again, she customized it just enough for them to know what she wanted, but left it wide open enough for them to still be creative in their way. So please know that that is also an option. And then we do have our templates as well. So if you're looking for something to excite you, it's like a new accessory, right? Like in the springtime, we go and add something new to our closet, or we pull in a new piece for our house just to kind of spruce it up a little bit. My husband just bought a new driver for golf. I guess he needed to spruce up his golf bag. I don't know, but
or his golf game.
Or his golf game. And so this is something that we also offer in our page templates over on that left-hand side. If you move on down, you'll see different genres and different layouts that are already there. And what a fun way to help your students use that nonfiction text, right? To get in there and do a little research, but present it in a completely different and fun way. And then I have to bring this one to the table. This is my new favorite. The Merrills, who just wrote the interactive class, their new book, he calls it Pages to Podcast. And when I knew that I had media specialist here today, I was like, I have to show this because I'm actually doing this with my, I am an adjunct instructor at our local university, and we're doing this in our classroom right now. And what the students do is they choose a book, and then they write the script for a podcast between one of the characters and the host. And then they actually put together the podcast, but really what it is it's fluency practice. Because once you have your script, and you can use AI to help you with that and level it out to a certain grade level. But it's almost like the old books that they had where you did paired reading or reader's theater. It's that in a new trending way called a podcast. But those kids will practice that over and over and over again until they get it right. And then they're able just to go in and record their voice and then share it with their friends. So what a fun way to be able to do book reviews or share out a little teaser for a book that they've read. And then they use the idea of the bento box, which is another one of their ideas, where you put the cover in the center and then just different little items around it that represent the characters or the conflict or the theme of the book. And the way that I designed both of these is with our partner of the Canva integration. And with Canva and Book Creator, when you click on that, it opens up just like you're accustomed to. It has all of the same platform that you do outside of Book Creator, except it has this button called Add to Book, and it will just pop it right there on the page. So, sometimes you don't need a beginning, middle, and end to a story. You just need a one-pager. And so what I want to do now is I want to kind of finish out by showing you some of our other features, but show the context of students. All right. So for just a minute, let's just pretend that you were in my classroom. I'm going to go over to our library here. And remember when I told you earlier, if you want to just start with Book Creator, but you might not want to have 25 books in your library, if you just want to start with one book, you as the teacher can go in and design that. So this is an example of something that I've done with many different contents. Statue of Liberty. This is a study on biomes. So whatever you're discussing with your students, what I did here is I created a cover page, plain, simple, just chose this yellow background here. But then I went over to the media section and went to embed. And what I did is I chose a video that would teach them some content. So we still might have our whole group discussion or read a story about it or read an article together and still have that. But then I would be able to push this out and make it collaborative. And what that means is right in our share button, there is a collaborate button. You can hit that, and that means that all the students in your library are going to be able to go to a page in this book. And that's the way I designed it. I put the content here, but then I went an extra step, because if you click right here on that little icon that I added, what it does is it takes you over to a 360 image in Google Maps. And now my students, whether I pull this up on the board and we look around together, or I share it with them, they're able to click and drag. And it's almost like a little virtual field trip. But what I'm doing as a teacher is I'm building background knowledge. And so before we ever even read the article or we dive in, we can go and get them thinking and get that image in their mind and then go deeper with our learning. So that's just a little twist on Book Creator, but let me show you what the other pages look like. So all I did is I went in and I chose this background here from the comics. And then all I did was go into the media section and go to the shapes and just put this rectangle here in the middle, just a blank space. That's all you got to give your kids. And after our learning, I just wanted their biggest takeaways. And there's never been one time that I've done this that I haven't been pleased, because sometimes when you ask them specific questions or give them multiple choice questions or even a prompt, you're boxing them in. So to give them a blank space and these tools, you would be shocked at what students will give you. A lot of times they'll just use that camera and they'll pop it right here. They'll just grab that camera. They'll record what they've learned about today. They're going to hit stop video. Oh, that's pretty. And then we're going to just kind of shrink it down and fit in the box. So if that's a faster way for them to talk it out and kind of share that way, that's an option. But then you're going to have those students that are more creative, and they may draw a picture that goes along with what they learned that particular day. Or maybe they want to grab an image, cactus, and they want to pop it there on the page and then do a little bit of explaining about that particular element that they learned about during the lesson. And so again, that creativity, leveling that, and some kids may just want to type out their answer. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, I'm going to click the share button, and I'm going to go to collaborate. And here I could give this, maybe I'm doing biomes and I do tundra for one group and desert for another and, grasslands for another, and just put 5 kids in a group. I certainly could do that. Now I'm going to just turn this on for everybody. And now, up until now, you could only look at this book. But now, if you'll go to our library and you'll hover over, you will see a little pencil here, and you're going to be able to click in and go and grab a page. Now, I can see as the teacher, if you'll look right here, I can see my students jumping in. I can see Cindy, Stephen, they're all on page 2. So you're going to want to have a plan with this and have all of your students, give them a number, use their class number, however it works for you. And then once you design that one page, all you have to do is go in and click copy, and you can make as many pages as you need for the number of students that you have. So right now, would you guys just choose a page? And if you see multiple people on a page, jump to another one. Okay, but I can also direct. And if you'll go in and add something to that page, whether it's a selfie, just a crazy selfie, or try out the image tool or whatever you want to pop on a page there, just to kind of show how quick and easy that is. And then I'm going to be able to see what's happening in my classroom. After the bell rings, I'm going to have this in my possession. I'm going to be able to go back in. I'm going to be able to see what my students' biggest takeaway for the day was. And that can be so powerful, because I know if I need to visit it again tomorrow, we need to spend a little bit more time there, or we're ready to move on. So that's an idea. That's with collaborate button. Time's moving on, Fobs. We got to get to the good stuff. All right. So right here, this is another example of how I've taken one of the templates and I just kind of embedded a video right here in the top corner. This was actually like one of the senses or synthesizing templates that you find in the 800 that are available. I changed everything about it. I changed the color. I added the video here because I wanted my students to be able to rewind and watch it. I'm a Title I teacher at heart, so I know that those strugglers really benefit from that. And then I went in and kind of customized it, the questions to go along with the video or what skill I was assessing. And then on the second page, again, I just took that biggest takeaway idea and gave them an option. So this is not a blank page that I'm giving my students. I'm going after what I need as a teacher for tomorrow's lesson. So it's 2 pages, but do not blink, because I'm about to show you the most magical thing about Book Creator is I'm going to go to the share button, but this time I'm going to go to the assign book button, not the collaborate button, because I want to give everybody their own copy. So this can be station, a seat work, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you blink, you're going to miss it. I'm going to click assign book. I could come in and only give this to Amanda and Amy if they needed maybe some intervention or to a revisit to hear something one more way. But for now, I'm going to give it to everybody. Here we go. I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to go out from the bird's eye view. And you can see that Book Creator immediately went to work. Now, if you are over in your other library or you are waiting until after our session today to go in and join with that code a little bit later, as soon as you come into that library, it's automatically going to make you your own copy. So if you have a student that's absent today, but they come back in tomorrow, guess what? Now they don't miss the video. Now you're still going to hear from that student their voice, because you've given them a structure in how to collect that. So that is a super valuable way. Now, when you look at this, you'll see I even put in a more elementary example here. This is kind of middle school, but I've put a little camera up here, and I like for them to go in and add a selfie. Now, they'll think you're the coolest teacher ever, but that's for me as I'm looking at their work. I just like to glance up and see whose I'm looking at. Even though I've asked them to put their name here, and actually Book Creator will go ahead and put their name on each copy as well. So if you can see here, it's created Laura a copy and Jacqueline a copy, and I can see here who's it's working with. But that little selfie really is a good way to look at a distance. And like we told you earlier, if you go back up to that people view here, your library view, you're going to be able to see the copy of that book for that student, and you'll be able to go in and check their work out real quick.
And I just love, probably one of my favorite features is about Book Creators, that classroom view, that bookshelf view, because as a teacher, I'm able to see what my students are working on and their progress. I'm able to leave comments. I was leaving some comments and some stickers on some of y'all's that did in the collaborative book. But I think I really want to highlight this because not every tool has this. And so you're able to actually go in and see every student, but you're also able to edit. So if somebody spells something wrong and you want to hurry up and publish it, you don't have to like say, hey, Johnny, like, can you fix this real quick so I can publish it? You can do that yourself. You can leave comments, which, and you can use translation in the comments as well. So just all those different types of things. So that classroom view, I know I've used it as an ed tech coach. As an ed tech coach, what I would do is I would co-teach with teachers, and we would both be able to have this classroom view, and we were both able to like tag team on different steps that the student had to create. If they had to go through page 1 or 2 and then go see your teacher, check mark, we're both able to see those. So as a co-teacher, everyone's able to see that. So just love that kind of classroom management tool.
I love that. Now, believe it or not, there is more magic. All right. So one more thing is, remember those newcomers that you have. There was one morning I remember specifically that I had a student that showed up. I did not know she was coming. She didn't know she was coming, but she spoke Arabic. She was from Saudi Arabia. And so it was a real challenge for me because I'm not fluent in Arabic, but I wanted to immediately get her in the routine of what was going on, and kind of she could be the smartest one in the room, but if I don't give her a way to show me that, then I never know. So Book Creator is going to kind of be that bridge for you. And right here is a perfect example of this, because another feature that we do have is if you click on these little books here, you can actually translate the entire book. So like Fobbs was telling you earlier, if you create a newsletter for your classroom, you can go in and translate it for parents. But what it's going to do is it's going to pick up any text on 1 page, 2 pages, 20 pages, however many you have. You're going to be able to go in. So if she spoke Arabic, I can go in, hit that translate button, and it's not going to change my original. But what it will do is it is going to create a copy of that template, just like I created for my other students, except Book Creator is going to go in and it's going to change all of the text to Arabic or Spanish or whatever you need.
And only the text, and so you have to go in and maybe create those captions in videos or, translate the audio. But the text is just a huge win, a huge start. So I just love that feature. And
Absolutely.
I know there's some new amazing features that are coming up that I just think are just going to be some big wins in Book Creator. And that's just starting. So I'm excited about all the new updates that are coming.
Yeah, and right here, in this case, you wouldn't want to assign that book to everyone in the library, but you would be able to come in and you would be able to choose that student. So let's just say that was Paula. I would be able to go in and just choose that translated book for Paula, and then start the assignment for her, and it would create it in her own language. So much that Book Creator offers. And, we've shown you a lot today, but there's a lot more in this book that you have access to that we started presenting from. We've put some different pages in here that's just going to remind you, give you some other examples of how it can be tied to curriculum. So feel free to go through here and kind of explore a little bit. But there's two other things, and I have 2 minutes, so that means I got to go really quick. Earlier, we kind of alluded to the fact that we have a discovery library. So if you click on those 3 little lines in your teacher dashboard, here's where you find that Discover Library. And there are so many amazing things in here. Right up here across the top, we'll kind of highlight different things. I know the activity journals for each month is super popular. They take the fun calendars with all the fun days and they turn them into academic activities. So that's something definitely that you can go and grab for your students. All you have to do is, like I showed you earlier, go in, remix it, and then you're going to be able just to drop it into your library you create. It will make you your own copy. You can take pages out or add pages to, and then you can turn around and click that assign book feature and give your students a copy of that. So if you finish early activity or a bell ringer or however you want to use these, it's a fun option. And not only just something like these journals, but if you go down just a little further, you're going to find content related examples. So I know media specialists are in the room, Sora reading, if you're using that, or Epic Books. There are response journals that are already created by our team, and they are fabulous. So I just wanted to tell you about that. And then one other thing that we have going right now, are just about to kick off, and we're totally excited about this here at Book Creator. But that is going to be our Be an Author Month. And in our book that I have given you, and you have access to it, you're going to find near the end, there's going to be a little page that I've popped in there. And it looks like this, and I've hyperlinked all of the resources for you. So just heads up about that. There's going to be tons of stuff on our social media, but you're going to be able to find all that you need there.